We're joined now by APC National Publicity Secretary Felix Morka. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Welcome to this night, Felix.
And just amongst everything that happened today, the most significant, I would say, is ratifying former Kano State Governor Ganduje as national chair of the party. Simple question, what makes him a good party chair? What qualities does he have to be the national chairman of the party?
Thank you very much for inviting me. Yes, we had a very successful National Executive Committee meeting today. As you know, this meeting was scheduled and postponed for a number of reasons, but today we had the meeting. And as you said, rightly stated, the highlight of the meeting was the election of a new national chairman in the person of Dr. Ganduje and Senator Ajibola as secretary. Now, this, again, I think cuts APC exactly in the light that we have suggested, which is that from the time the national chairman, the former national chairman resigned, and the national secretary, up until now, everything we've done, including the accession to office by the acting national chairman, and it's been absolutely seamless. We haven't had any rancor with respect to our procedures. And I think it just shows the maturity of the party, that the party has come of age. Even though we're just barely 10 years.
Yeah,
we've had this moment where we have been called upon to resolve our internal issues, and we've done so creditably.
Beyond resolving your internal issues and the maturity of the party, you've still not told us the qualities the party saw in Ganduje to make him the national chair.
Ganduje, former Governor Ganduje, now the national chairman of our party, as you know, is about one of the most experienced public servants. He's been in the system for well over 40 years. There's literally no position he hasn't held. So he comes with an overload of experience, not just on matters of the party, but also as a seasoned intellectual, someone who has had a track record of remarkable accomplishments in all of his endeavors, from the local government system to the state system, to being deputy governor, to being governor. I mean, he's done everything there is to do. We're the ruling party, and at this stage of our evolution, we need someone with that level of understanding and the depth of experience, to bring all of that to bear in the management of the party.
Interesting.
Yes.
Felix, we quite understand your conviction about your new chairman. Interesting. Yet again, what would like to remind you that these activities should have taken place during the national convention. So wouldn't it look like the party tried to go behind the general, or the leadership of the party went behind the general consensus of the party members to install a new chairman? No,
absolutely not. We have a constitution.
Tell us about
which is the ground norm of the party.
Tell us about.
Now, under our constitution, National Convention, yes, is the highest decision-making body of the party, right? The National Executive Committee is the next highest making, body outside of the convention. And now the convention is, had every 4 years. You don't just call a convention. It's, fixed by statutory, calendar to be convened every 4 years.
Yeah.
So the next convention is not, for...
So Felix, in that case, one would think that then you might have an acting chairman, a chairman in an acting capacity.
You didn't let me finish.
Okay, carry on.
You didn't let me finish.
Carry on, yeah.
Our constitution, knowing that schedule, makes provision for the National Executive Committee to exercise, all of the authority of the National Convention in between conventions. So between the last convention and the next one, the neck of the party has the constitutional authority to make decisions which then may be ratified by the next, national convention.
When you say, just before Nkechi comes in again, when you say to make decisions, it's neither here nor there. Is it clearly stated that, okay, to make decisions regarding the choice of a new chairman and a new leadership? No,
constitutions are not written with all of that because, the drafters of the constitution have no way of imagining or envisaging every possible, issue that may arise in the course of time between, one convention and the other. So it gives, that provision and gives authority. And when a constitution gives authority to an organ of a party or to anybody, that organ has the right to exercise that authority with respect to circumstances and occasions and cases that are warranted. Mm-hmm. In this case, our national chairman resigned before the next convention. The constitution is very clear. It says that NEC of the party has the authority to exercise the powers. So any power that the National Convention may exercise under the constitution, the National Executive Committee of the party has the authority by that same constitution to exercise those powers. And today, NEC invoked its powers to elect a new chairman on behalf of the convention, so to speak, meaning that this has been done. And then the next convention, of course, we have the opportunity to ratify that decision, in time.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. Now, the Kano State Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission has invited your national party chairman to answer some questions in regards to the infamous 2018 events that earned him the name Ganduje. Is the APC going to position itself to explain or putting any measures to address the public concerns concerning this issue?
Look, again, I happen to be a lawyer. Okay. You don't taint anyone with any kind of guilt unless that individual has been properly, brought before a court of competent jurisdiction and actually given the time of day to also, defend himself. So I'm not interested in allegations that are bandied. We have courts of law. If anyone, anywhere in this country has anything on anyone, including, Dr. Ganduje, our new national chairman, we have courts of law where those issues are dealt with. They're not dealt with in the media because otherwise, every individual has a right to the presumption of innocence. The fact that anyone, makes an allegation does not in any way, ascertain the guilt, if you will, of that individual. So I'll leave it there and allow whatever process, whatever investigation. I'm not aware of anything, but
you didn't see the video in 2018.
You know what? That's 2018. Like I said, social media is replete with all kinds of things. I will leave it at that. But all I say is that, with respect to our new national chairman, if there are issues that any citizen may have against them, I think that belongs to the call of law, to discuss.
Now, let's move to your celebration. Congratulations on your 10th anniversary. The party was formed February 6, 10 years ago, but then only got the approval in August. So far, so good, you might say. But would you say that your party has lived up to its ideology? Let's start with the economy, controlled economic policies of the APC. How would you assess it in general over the last 10 years?
The question of the economy of any country is not a local matter. You must discuss the economy within the context of the local circumstances, but also within global context. You can't, if you ask me, I think that within the context of the global economic realities that we're contending with, and within our own historical evolution as a country, I think the APC-led government of the last 8 years has done a pretty good job to stabilize the economy of this country. I know when people think of the economy, they think poverty and they think uhuru. But between poverty and the promised land, it's a whole spectrum of possibilities. You cannot have a legacy. We have You know, we're a country where we have operated, you know, a single mono, you know, economy, just one product. Every government historically has not, you know, invested as it should in diversifying the economy of this country. So, you know, we've all of, you know, our independent years up until now simply put reliance on, you know, a single product. I mean, we had money. When oil was, you know, struck in this country, there was money, but little was done to really get this country on multi-tracks in terms of, you know, I mean, revenue generation and foreign exchange earnings. But look, if you look at the offer of this president, he's made it very clear that he intends to tackle some of the fundamental, you know, problems that have beset us, you know, as a country, and to remove them. And, you know, once he took office, the first, you know, step he took was again to remove, you know, the subsidy and to liberalize, you know, a foreign exchange, you know, regime, because of the terrible, you know, blind spots within that system, both systems, that have actually held us down and prevented the kind of, you know, growth that we all would like to see. So I think, you know, we're barely a couple of months into this administration. I think, you know, this government deserves the time to actually institute, you know, some of the reforms that he has started. I don't think that is fair, you know, I mean, 60 days, you know, I mean, or just, you know, slightly more, you know, on, to begin to make assessments that are, you know, absolutely dispositive. We must allow the government to settle in and allow these policies to run their course of time, so that we can then, you know, sit back to evaluate the results or the outcomes. Okay, of these policies.
In any case, we're not even assessing the current administration in isolation. What we're doing is looking at your milestone as a party, and it's a good thing, I would say, that in the last 10 years of your existence, you've had the opportunity to be in government for 8 years straight.
Correct.
Well, part of your, so we just wanted to see your assessment of the controlled market economy, which is part of your ideology. And let's look at another variation of your ideology, your party's ideology, national, social nationalism. If you look at that, how would you rate the performance of your party so far?
You know, look, the Buhari administration put a lot of premium on giving, you know, access, you know, to the poor in this country. The social investment program was all about that. It was meant to give, you know, people who struggle, you know, who live, you know, below the poverty line, the opportunity to actually, you know, earn some, you know, decent living. So a whole lot was done. A lot of policies were put in place under the SIP, and the result, I think, is, you know, is out there for anyone to judge. But the point is that 8 years is actually not, you know, that long a time to reverse the, you know, decades of, you know, misery and, you know, maladministration that was inflicted on this country by the, you know, former ruling party, the People's Democratic Party. You know, but I think that, you know, when you say that to the average Nigerian who is looking to live every day, who is looking to just, you know, get through the day, that doesn't, you know, make any meaning. That's understandable. But for those who, you know, understand economics and who worry about the systems, the sort of systemic changes that are important to lay the foundation, you know, for growth and development, you cannot, you know, be mistaken about that. The, you know, Buhari administration of 8 years has laid the groundwork for this new government to build upon, to begin to reset the fundamentals of our economy.
Like you rightly said, the man on the streets, the masses, the people that are trying to earn a living day by day, that are living paycheck to paycheck, may not understand what you're talking about. 60 days is not enough, or 8 years is not enough to undo whatever the opposition party did. So how does your party intend to address these challenges? You've been talking about all the things that your party has done right. There's some things they haven't done right. There are obviously criticisms. How do you take that in? How do you plan to address it to maintain public support?
You know, economics, it's not about wishes. There are...
And it's not about promises as well.
And it's not about promises. You know, but it's somewhere in between. Because it takes real calculated thinking and policy, you know, prescriptions to begin to turn the corner. These prescriptions, like taking out the subsidy. I mean, look at the energy around the country on this matter. Because, you know, it affects people in real ways. Affects, you know, the dining tables, affects, you know, people who go to school, affects, you know, transportation, affects every facet of our lives, right? So when you make such a decision, there are consequences, short-term consequences. But I think that what this government is saying is that in the medium and the long term, the benefits of removing fuel subsidy will ultimately outweigh the, you know, current pain that, you know, we're going through. And you know what? I think also as a Nigerian, I actually want to hear some of us acknowledge that, you know, in this country, over the years, since independence, we have actually had it good with this product. We have. Because I think we are now realizing that the subsidy regime actually meant that we were able to purchase fuel at, you know, almost next to nothing in comparison with what other countries, you know, have been paying. So it is now that we are coming to terms with that. But you know what? This is part of the reason we haven't, you know, developed as rapidly as we should. This government has taken the bold step to actually eliminate it. I think the prospects now are looking up. You know, look at the revenue, you know, generation for this past month.
Okay, then we need to...
Massive.
Yes, I need to just button now. Let's quickly round this off. So, before we go...
I don't think we have enough time.
Yeah, that's the challenge. We don't have enough time. So